Hey guys, it's Dick and Marika here. This is number 7 in the series, The Hidden War in Plain Sight. And in the last videos we talked about how the devil is blinding the minds, how Satan is the ruler or governor of this world, and we saw that he doesn't really rule explicitly, but he rules by deception. He brings strong deception, and that he disseminates through our culture, and that's how he gains control. And how he makes war against the woman, Israel, and her offspring, and that is us, the Christians. And we also seen how the world is not your friend, and how his Satan's power manifests itself. So in this video, we're gonna talk about know your enemy, Marxist anti-Christian policies throughout history, Marxist anti-Christian policies today, and why that is, and where did it come from, deliberate indoctrination campaign, and the problem in the West, the offshoots of Marxism. Okay, so that is what we are going to talk about today. Now, in the past, in the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, the Lord always warned Israel about their enemies whenever they entered new territory. And we're gonna look at an example where when Moses was about to enter the promised land, when the Israelites were about to enter the promised land, and Moses was speaking basically through God, giving them instructions how to behave when you do enter into the promised land. Okay, so let's look at that. This is coming from Deuteronomy 7:1. This is the instructions that the Lord brought down through Moses, of course. So this is Deuteronomy 7. Now when the Lord your God brings you into the land which you go to possess, and he has cast out many nations before you, the Hittites, the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hippites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you, and when the Lord your God delivers them over to you, you shall conquer them and utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy with them, nor shall you make marriages with them. You shall not give your daughter to their son, nor take their daughter for your son. For they will turn your sons from following me to serve other gods. So the anger of the Lord will be aroused against you and destroy you suddenly. Okay. Well, this is the warning that God gave Israel as they were, about to enter the promised land. And you may say, well, what does that have to do with me today? I'm a Christian, I'm no longer in Israel, But in the New Testament, God again sends warning in a different way, but it's really the same concept. He says, love not the world, neither the things of the world. Okay, because the world is enmity against God, and if it's enmity against God, then of course, it's enmity against the Word of God. Okay, and that's why you're going to have a hard time believing the whole Word of God, because you're going to start questioning basically the Word of God, okay? And really questioning God, and that is really not a position that you want to be in. One of the most powerful forces in the world, as far as in the Western world where we live, like America, United States, Europe, I think Australia, New Zealand, every part of the world that's influenced or heavily influenced by Western culture, there's a huge pressure from an ideology called Marxism. Some call it socialism, communism. To me, they're all different sides of the same coin, and we're gonna examine today how this ideology is really harmful to Christians, and how in the past they really basically killed Christians and persecuted Christians because they held fast to their religion. The remaining countries today that still hold on to the socialist Marxist ideology are China, Cuba, and North Korea. So that's the main 3. There are some smaller ones, but those are the main 3 that really deal with a heavy hand. Okay, the whole society is basically dominated by their ideology. And we're going to look at another country that used to be communist, which is Russia. Basically, it used to be the Soviet Union, which was what they call countries of the Warsaw Pact. It included Poland and different Eastern a European country. So in Russia, when they were communists, this was a policy, and they were, their ideology again was based on Marxism. Okay, this is an article. This is from the persecution church in Soviet Union. The story needs to be told. So this is the story that needs to be told. The attack against the religion in countries of the Warsaw Pact was inspired by the ideology of Marxism, Leninism, which upheld militant and atheism, a doctrine advocating the abolition of religion and the propagation of atheism. Government officials worked tirelessly to sanitize the public square of any trace of religion. Now, if you pay attention, this is exactly what is going on in our society. I mean, it's not to this extent, but it's slowly. This is what the goal is, to sanitize what they call basically the entire society from any trace of religion. And this is how they did it. So in elementary schools, children were taught to denounce parents who held onto their faith. And after 1964, university students were required to take a course titled Fundamentals of Scientific Atheism. Although few students were genuinely interested in it, throughout its excess in the Soviet Union, several anti-religious campaigns were carried out in order to eliminate religion from the public square. So this policy that they implemented started in the early 1900s, basically. And they say by 1926, there were no more Roman Catholic bishops left in the USSR, which is communist Russia. The Catholic laity also met the same fate, whether by firing squad, it means they were executed, or being sent to corrective labor camps or psychiatric hospital for treatment, most of them never to be seen again. So by 1941, of nearly 1,200 Catholic churches that had existed in 1917, only 2 were still active. That's in the USSR. So they basically wiped out the entire religious society, so to speak, and the influence of religion by 1941. Okay, so this is the historical part of Marxism. And now we're going to look at some Marxist anti-Christian policies today. Okay, so what's going on in today? Maybe they changed their minds. Actually, no, the same thing. They still hold fast to the same ideology because, again, as I showed you in the earlier videos, and I really encourage you to watch them, that it is a strategy that Satan uses to take influence to take control of influential people in society, that whether it be professors, teachers, celebrities, and even political figures, to basically turn the whole culture against Christianity. And that is The Hidden War in Plain Sight. That's the book by the same title that I wrote. Okay, so let's see what is going on today in, let's say in Cuba, because Cuba is one of the remaining socialist countries. So this is Cuba, and this is in 2020. Cuba stepped up its persecution of people of faith. It says will it get worse in 2020. Basically, they term you a counter-revolutionary. That's the term they use for people that do not basically follow, what the state demands that all of its citizens basically follow, which means, you cannot be a Christian. You cannot, hold on to your Christian faith. Okay, and that's going on in Cuba. And I'll leave the links to the articles, and you can watch it for yourself. So Cuba is one of them. Another one is North Korea. And North Korea is actually the country where the most Christian persecution is happening per capita, from any nation in the entire world. So this is an organization called Open Doors USA, and they basically keep track of persecution in the world, and what is going on. And they have, color-coded that says extreme persecution, very high persecution, high persecution. And North Korea leads the list. And the source of persecution is, to tell you right here, it's communist and post-communist oppression. And the main religion here says atheism and traditional beliefs. And in the Middle East, the main source of persecution is still, to this day, is Islam religion. They do not tolerate Christians in their society, but most of them. Or, for example, in Saudi Arabia, you're not even allowed to bring in a Bible if you come and visit that country, okay? And they actually still crucify people in Saudi Arabia for their Christian belief. Believe it or not, it's actually happening. I was going to show you photos, but they're just really too gruesome. Some people have smuggled them out, and it's just really too gruesome to show you in a video, but just take my word for it, it is happening. North Korea is leading the list, and then you have a couple of other ones, Laos, Vietnam, okay? And China also is one of the leading persecutors of the church today. So this, I'm just gonna read some headlines from, this is really from this year. Actually, it's from, last month, in July. So communists use COVID-19 as a pretext for persecution. Says Xi China church crackdown worse than under Mao. Okay, and this is from CBN News. And here's another one. Chinese government orders low-income families to abandon their Christian faith or lose financial aid. Now imagine that if you were, let's say you're on government assistance, and say, yes, you can have government assistance, but you have to renounce your Christian faith. That's the only way you can get government assistance, okay? So this is, again, last month, story from CBN News. And I'm going to read you one more. This is from the Christian Post. China police shutter houses, churches nationwide, order Christians to stop believing in God. And this was in, again, last month. This is July 30, 2020. And again, these stories do not make the news. So this is all part, really, of blinding the minds, because if you do not hear it in the news, it's like it's not happening, right? Somebody said if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, how do you know the tree actually fell, right? So that if people would really know about these stories, if the news media would honestly report on what is going on, there would be a global outcry against it, right? But they do not do it. And again, I told you in the past, because they see, they meaning the news media, most of them, like 99, I want to say, let's say 90%, let's be generous, 90% of them see Christianity as a problem in society, okay? That's why they support movements, really the cultural Marxist movement called Black Lives Matter, which I showed you, that they're really a front group for cultural Marxists, and they really support basically deconstructing or opposing traditional marriage, and really make it a normal, queer lifestyle, LGBT lifestyle, to make that the norm in society, and to basically come against the traditional marriage. So that is what is going on as far as what Marxists are doing these days in our world. Okay, so I'm going to probably end this video right here, because otherwise this video is going to get too long. But in the next part, so I'm going to have a second part to this. We're going to see where this is coming from and why this is starting to basically dominate, or it looks like it's starting to dominate, but it's actually not. But I'm going to show you that in the next video, what is really going on and how it can actually become a dominating force in our society, and I believe it will happen eventually. Okay, again, this is Deacon Marika, and thank you for watching. And please share this with your family, with your friends, those that are Christians that maybe do not wondering what's going on in the world. The Bible really gives us an answer, okay? So again, this is Deacon Marika, and thank you for watching.